In programming, how you organize your data is, well, it's pretty much everything. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most fundamental tools for that job, the array. We're going to see how this one simple concept in Java lets us go from a basic list of items all the way to a complex grid, unlocking some really powerful ways to manage information.
All right, let's kick things off with a super practical question. Imagine you're building a game, right? And you need to keep track of the last 10 scores. How would you actually handle that in your code?
I mean, sure, you could create 10 different variables, score 1, score 2, score 3, but you can see how that gets messy and fast. The smart way, the clean, efficient way, is to use a single structure to hold all of them, and that's exactly what an array is for.
Okay, so to tackle that scores problem, we're going to start with our first tool, the one-dimensional or 1D array. Just think of it as a simple, organized list.
So what is an array, really? At its core, it's a collection of items that are all the same type, like they're all numbers, or they're all pieces of text. But the key here is that they're all stored together in memory, one right after the other, kind of like a single, neat row of boxes.
And working with an array is actually a really simple three-step process. First up, you declare it. You're basically just telling Java, hey, I'm going to need an array. Then you initialize it. That's when you actually create it and decide how big it's going to be. And finally, you access it, which is just a fancy way of saying you read or change the things inside.
So what does that actually look like in Java code? Well, the declaration int array is just you telling Java, I need an array of integers, and I'm going to call it AR. Then we can initialize it right away by just giving it the values we want. See? Simple and direct.
Okay, so we've got our list. Now what? How do we actually work with the data inside? Grabbing each item one by one just isn't going to cut it. We need a way to process the whole list automatically.
And that, my friends, is where loops come in. The classic for loop is the perfect tool for walking through an array. It's literally designed to start at the very beginning, visit every single element one by one, and stop when it gets to the end.
Let's quickly break down what's happening in that loop. First, array.length. This is super handy. It just tells you exactly how many items are in your array. Then you have array.I. That's how you grab an element using its position or its index. And please, remember this crucial rule. Programming starts counting from 0, so the first item is always at index 0.
Okay, a single list is great, but what happens when your data is more complex? What if you're trying to build a tic-tac-toe board or track points on a map? For that, we need to upgrade our toolbox.
Well, say hello to the two-dimensional or 2D array. Now, the best way to wrap your head around this is not to think of it as something totally new. Instead, it's just an array of arrays. It's a clever trick that creates a table-like structure with rows and columns.
In the syntax, it reflects this idea perfectly. See the two sets of square brackets? We're telling Java we're creating an array where each element inside it is another array. So here, we've just made a 3x3 grid of numbers.
And this right here, this is the aha moment. It shows you that connection perfectly. The code from the last slide maps directly to this visual grid. The outer brackets hold the rows, and those inner curly braces hold the values for each row. You can see how 1, 2, 3 becomes our very first row at row 0.
All right, so think about it. If a single list needs one loop to get through it, it kind of makes sense that a grid, with both rows and columns, is going to need a slightly more advanced technique.
Right, so we start with what we call an outer loop. Its only job is to handle the rows. That's it. It starts at the first row, index 0, and just moves down, one row at a time. Simple enough, right?
Then, inside that loop, for every single row, we have a second, inner loop. And its job is to move across all the columns just within that one row. And notice how it checks the length of matrix I? It's checking the length of the current row we're on.
So let's put it all together. The outer loop kicks things off and says, okay, let's go to row 0. Then the inner loop takes over and runs completely, visiting every single column in that row. Only then does the outer loop finally move on to row 1, and the whole process repeats. This is how you can systematically visit every single cell in that grid.
Whew, okay. We've seen how to build simple lists and then upgrade them to grids. Let's kind of zoom out for a second and nail down the core principles that make arrays so important for every programmer. If you're going to remember anything, remember these golden rules. First, once you make a Java array, its size is locked in. You can't just add more slots later. Second, loops are your best friend for iterating efficiently. And third, never forget that a 2D array is really just a clever use of 1D arrays, one nested inside the other.
And you might be asking, why does this all matter? Well, it's because you see arrays absolutely everywhere. From solving complex math problems to representing game boards or just storing any old collection of related data you can think of, they are just incredibly versatile.
And this is maybe the most crucial takeaway for anyone looking to get a job in this field. A solid grasp of data structures and algorithms, what people call DSA, is non-negotiable for programming interviews. And guess what? Arrays are ground zero for that entire journey.
Wow, we've covered a ton of ground, haven't we? From a simple list of game scores all the way to a complex grid. You now have the fundamental blueprint for organizing data in your code. The only question left is, what awesome thing are you going to build with it?